these teams and pick it up. And unfortunately, the question you got to ask yourself is how many shots do you have to be picked up? How many of those opportunities are being thrown at you? I think in his best case, he's better off trying to find two younger players. The fact that he's gone with two old faces, let's see if it pays off.
Well, a couple old dogs. Let's see if they can learn some new tricks here against the youth of Gates of Olympus. And I mentioned Crispy as well, playing in Endpoint. I know you like marking your bingo card off every time I mention that team based out of Sheffield. But he did perform really well in that Endpoint roster. They didn't really get perform to their potential, I think. He just got to the big stage and couldn't really handle the pressure there. But it's going to be a new season soon enough, and here comes Breezy over the top, and he'll get that one out to Toxic. Crispy's going to have to pick that one up before anyone from the orange side can get their hands on it.
Well, it's going to be interesting with Crispy and what he's going to be put up with and against here, as there's no big sort of names here, and that's no disrespect to, of course, Breezy and Toxic, they're respectively so. But when you play with Devo on the team, there's that level of expectations, crafters, as you know. You have to deliver, you have to be on form. And when you have Embry, I believe it was Spooks and Jam last time we were talking around as that shot gets tipped away. Quite simply, was to frankly, this is the player to watch. He is one of those ones that will make a trail ablaze, frankly, and we've never saw that from him. And unfortunately, he might be going as one of those forgotten players as Scrub, maybe setting one up here.
Indeed, Emery was a shining light in that Endpoint squad after Simas left. But by the way, Barrett is Hibs, I believe, on this team. We'll try and keep that right for you. Hibs obviously a veteran in the UK scene himself, has won a few lands in and around the UK. Remember him and Hakeem being big names down at Epic Land. He's certainly no stranger to these high pressure situations. And they're certainly getting pressured quite a lot here. A lot of shots coming the way for Gates of Olympus. They're not really nothing too threatening so far. They're just knocking on the door and seeing how far they can get. But Scrub bang into the top corner. What a save by Breezy, and it'll get away. Toxic puts it in the corner.
Well, the biggest event in Europe has the offer to date. And you talk about some of the old names, as Jam happily calls me his grandpa Hakeem. What a player he was. But these are meant to be the top of the UK. The Derby, as we even happily nicknamed it. And that's our first shot. Was a tester. Is there going to be one better? Not with a save like that.
Bro still trying to get out of their own half. One real big opportunity did come off that counter-attack, but here's a counter-attack of the Gates of Olympus off the backboard. We're nicely dealt with by the defensive Bro. But Crispy, that's a poor touch off the ceiling, and Crispy takes full advantage.
What a fabulous play by Breezy, sticking it high up in speed. You would have thought traditionally always used to a second man following behind him. If you want that bingo card, in the good old Liquid days, you had Phrygian Coxer, the Holdos, and that big father-like figure. Not with this one. Scrubs used to be a little bit more loose and free, but sadly a backflip like that's costly.
Can Speed redeem himself straight away? Misses the double touch. And Scrub can't follow up in time. There's a huge opportunity for Bro to pull that one back even. Not a lot of time left on this clock, a minute and a half or so. And Crispy might even be looking for a second. It will be Bro to send it away. Now Scrub down over to Hibs. And can't squeeze that one away, but does get it to Speed. But the defensive Gates of Olympus holding strong.
That's a decent save as well. At least allowing a bit of pressure as Hibs. Downwards ball here, Scrub lack a boost here, so it's just piling the pressure, trying to conform into this corner here. That should be a soft touch, it is, and that Speed lurking as dangerous as he always is, but here is the problem, crafters. Time is of the essence here.
It was smartly waited out by Toxic, waited for the right time to strike to get that save. It has wasted a little bit more time off this clock here in game number one. Toxic looking to put a bit of pressure onto Hibs, but he will not feel the heat just yet. He fires into the middle of the net, but couldn't get it past Breezy. This defense has been holding really, really well. And again, Toxic able to get that one over on the dunk.
Hibs Speed to his left, but Crispy, that's a vital cut out here in the first forces here. BROOOO to sit deep and back here, far too relaxed. It needs to be pelted up as quickly as you can here, but it started with Toxic and it's back with him again.
20 seconds now. No lead is safe when it's only by one. Breezy looking for the dagger here at the end of game number one to send this one neatly in their corner, but Scrub, a chance at the end, and he takes advantage. 10 seconds to go, we're tied up.
Oh, this is fabulous. Look at that. Look at the positioning, and Speed just went to Breezy, lobs him to the side, and basically says, not on my watch. I'm a major champion. You're going to sit and play my game.
Oh, chance for Speed there at the kickoff. Could have ended it before overtime. It will be looming. This ball touches the floor, and it will. We will play this extra period. But what does that do to the mental of Gates of Olympus in front and in charge for a lot of this game so far? In the last 10 seconds, they let their defense slip just ever so slightly. Breezy will get the flick over. I think it was Toxic going for the bump. He did manage to bump his man out of the way. No goal will come of it. And right back down the other end, it's time for BROOOO to set the pace.
Toxic, the poor first touch here. There is Hibs taking over control here. Tox just moves the backboard out of the way here. What a fabulous idea. You can just sense that both sides here not necessarily playing outstanding, because the fact that the follow-through is not there, the fact that they're sitting so deep here, Crafters, that's a lot of respect being shown here. And Toxic, well, he's just getting away with this one.
And he has a lot of respect, a lot of patience. It was well weighted, but this time around, patience might not be the virtue for Gates of Olympus. They wait a little bit too long and let Hibs bang this one into the back of the net. And BROOOO will take the first game 51 seconds into OT.
What a strange affair, this opening game, Crafters. We normally look at these type of matches and sort of going, yeah, it's another 4-0 in the office for whoever's got the opening series. This one, far from it. This one's a lot more poise, a lot more grit to the opening here. And what is surprising, we talked about some of the teams, like the Scrub, like the Speed, like the Breezy and Crispy. They weren't the two that really dictated that match. It was Toxic and Hibs, in my opinion, really set the tone here.
That they did. Long series, by the way, all best of sevens today. I know you used to be seeing maybe best of fives this early on the bracket. No, we're going for the long haul in every single one of these. So plenty of time for the Gates of Olympus to get back into it. But I want to point out Toxic in that, because 5 saves is just phenomenal against any team. Never mind against a team as talented as BROOOO. He's certainly on the radar screen for me as the breakout player here of Gates of Olympus. I know you got Breezy and Crispy in there and how well they've played, but Toxic, man, great defense from him.
Well, you can't say anything bad about the player. Cast him 2-3 years ago when he wasn't on the radar of the RLCS. Like I saw when he did step up temporarily. He plays effortless. If you're a new player and hired to play the game well, for me, he is one of those players to look out for. The fact that you're talking about the saves just shows you how potent he can be, how he can remove the threat, but it's his offense that's even more threatening at times to look out forward.
Well, let's see if he can show us some of that threatening offense. Didn't have too many opportunities, but he'll have the chance here. 20 seconds in. Your prophecy has been fulfilled, Danny.
Oh, the old man with the crystal ball, grey hair as well. Sometimes there is wisdom in those. My word, Crafters. I love being right, and it's nice to be on air too.
I know. Sometimes I'd rather be happy than right, but you're happy that you're right.
well, unfortunately, I can only be right and miserable.
The two emotions of Danny Boy ATM, ladies and gentlemen. Misery is perhaps a word that's going to describe BROOOO right now, because that's a lovely passing play between Crispy and Breezy to send this one home.
Oh, fabulous cut right into that side here of the pitch, and if you weren't watching, the fact that Scrub was dangling like a fish at the front of the net there, jumped free too much early, too much on the near side for Hibs. Crafters, with as much experience as them two, they make such a elementary mistake. Oh dear, we are in for something here.
Certainly so. Firing on all cylinders now. Here comes Breezy with the flip reset to slowly drop that one in the net. Couldn't find it. A fake in the corner allows Breezy to set up for this one. Can't quite find it. And send them into 3-0. They'll have another crack at it as Scrub takes it off the backboard. Speed is there to clear. It's not the best that clears from Speed because it goes straight to Breezy. And the flip reset will let him get another shot at it. And I believe that was Crispy in the follow-up. He might have another chance at this as he's hovering around in the midfield. But this midfield pressure from Gates of Olympus is just absolutely phenomenal. And it's really keeping Bro down at the moment.
When we see these statistics at the end, there's really much, probably be 70-80% here, that how much pressure they've been under. Fabulous positioning by Speed. Recognise the danger here in Hibs. This is a bit worrisome here. The fact that they're throwing the ball so highly up here would suggest that that's pressure. And you talk about big matches, they should be used to it here. And this is the first time we've seen a shot on target.
Yeah, it's certainly this ball has not spent a lot of time in the blue half of the field so far. Bert, I keep wanting to call him Bert because his name's Bert on the in the lobby. This is a little bit of a break for the offensive Bro. A very weird passage of play just there. Right back to it. Speed holds midfield. Straight into the path of Breezy. He's not had the best of the series so far, his Speed. And he's making some silly little mistakes that should be opening the doors for the Gates of Olympus.
The gates here might be far too open there, Crafters. You would just need somebody really just to settle the game down. When you have Scrub, when you have Speed, that's two very aggressive players, and Hibs likes to go forward too. We've seen it plenty of times throughout their career. And you said a 1 goal's never safe. When you're 2 goals down, when you're that type of a team as well, that's a kryptonite that you need to sort out pretty quickly too. As fact,ly, I think Bacon would love to say this in the old-fashioned days, that this is a pickup team. They should be, you know, having a few issues, but able to sort it out here. But the defense here, temporarily, at least holds.
Let's say that was a smart little play there by Crispy. We had 12 boost in the tank, but he feathers it just the right amount. He's able to get a soft shot on net to at least force the save out of Bro. Toxic now. Actually, everyone from Gates of Olympus is bailed out of this one. Toxic has to go for a back pass. I suppose when you're 2-0 up, you can afford to take some time off the clock here. We know how quickly Bro can score, and it'll be Hibs having a crack at this one. Didn't really make too much of the chance he was given. And they're really just all over the place at the moment, Danny. I don't really know if Bro really believe they can win this game. They still can, 50 seconds left.
I saw from the original touch here that Scrub's air dribble, that was trying to keep possession of it, but it was a wheel touch that removed it. They still have that sense of belief, and if you know Speed as well as I do, he doesn't think any match is gone. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 down, it doesn't matter. He still has that tenacity to get back in games here, and the fact that they're still fanning each other, still the fact that they're still passing to each other. Dual watts here, Crafters. That's what you want in the team. That's our self-belief, and to resonate with one another, and it will generate the odd chance here. Unfortunately for them, hasn't paid off yet.
Well, a chance now is again right on the 10-second mark. A goal almost went in, but it's blocked this time by the Gates of Olympus. They have slammed the door shut here in game number 2. They will concede right at the end off of the boots of Hibs. But man alive, just looking at the shot count here as this one's going in. 12 shots from the Gates of Olympus to just the 6 of Bro. Just shows you how in control the Gates of Olympus were throughout that entire game.
I'm interested in the number side of it. Surprisingly, Crafters, normally I throw here say statistics isn't that important, and apparently the field domination was only what, 60%, rounding up slightly there. To me, it felt a lot more. The fact that we were talking about it, that felt suffocating for at least, what, a minute and a half, 2, Crafters, where we talked about Bro not getting out, Bro not doing this, Gates of Olympus higher. almost vice-like that grip was. It was scarily impressive how they able to get things going, and the transitional game has to be better for Bro, and we need to look at what you like to say quite often, the mid-line. That's where the game's won and lost here.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up there. I'm actually quite surprised at the field domination myself. I would have thought it would be well more in favor, maybe getting towards 70% for Gates of Olympus with the ball spinning that amount of time in the orange half. But I think it was a game of two halves. I know it's cliched to say that in a football style game, but it really was. It was Gates of Olympus coming out of the traps early on, getting their goals, and then just sitting back and letting the pressure come to them. And just forcing Bro to go out and win that game. They were just put in a rough position, and they could not get it past the staunch defense at the gates.
Well, the fact if we want to go cliches as well, there's quite a few, well, old-fashioned Irish ones would say just punt the ball upfield and go for a Hail Mary every so often. We lacked the creativity, we lacked the diversity to throw the ball up here in Bro. As much as they were good at doing that, their best play came from Scrub's air dribble to a teammate. They have to find more here, and they're already suffering from the same deja vu of the last game.
Really open at the back there, Gates of Olympus, as we begin game number 3. Just be taking a shot, and this is something I've seen from the Gates of Olympus throughout this series so far, Danny, is that they come forward as a unit, but it does leave them really vulnerable at the back. I don't think Bro has been taking full advantage of these quick counter-attacks that they should be able to get. We know that they're more than capable of doing such a play, as Breezy gets that one denied by Speed. We've got to acknowledge that this team is playing really open at the back. Just boom the ball downfield, and you're going to give yourself a really good chance to score if you're Bro.
Well, unfortunately, the bit where I would say it's where it's falling apart, that particular masterstroke of a plan here, is that shot should be.
Oh, Speed! Oh, no!
I've been casting Speed for about 3-4 years, and it never gets any easier.
Oh.
Speed!
To borrow their own phrase there. Bro, what are you doing? Mentioned Speed wasn't having the best of the series. Still not looking too hot for him. That's another mental error. The guy who had, you know, back in the day, a lot of potential, a lot of promise and Speed. And all he just really came together in that, what was that term called? WSO or something? Whatever it was? I can't.
How dare you be on this broadcast with me and forget that?
I forget the name of it. I know it had a W in it.
How dare you forget the mighty flip-side tactic of WSOE 4 with Mystic, the greatest Scotsman that's ever played the game, Coxer and Speeds. Well, you did have Yukio, but he left for Dignitas. We won't talk about that.
We'll talk about that. But you remember, like, he stepped into that Flipside Tactics roster for that tournament and played an absolute blinder, ended up winning the whole thing, and then things just kind of went south after that.
I love how it went south when you're talking about 3 years over a span of that. Let's not forget Season 9, he did have a decent tournament at the RLCS with Cooktown Scrub at one point. Not saying World Championship quality, but that was always a potential question mark. What could have happened? And Speed's one of those players when he have a bad game, and by a bad game, that's by most standards, a very good by others. He'll put a 500-600 point up game the next game normally, and he wants to take control, he wants to prove people wrong. He hasn't lost it, just not the consistency that he sadly was known for.
Well, he's got to get these mental errors out of his brain. It's his mistake that has been the difference maker here in game number 3. The tied up series 1-1. Now Hibbs dribbling into the corner. Jump takes it to the side and doesn't allow Crispy a chance to send that net bound. Crazy out the corner, looking for Toxic. What a pass! What a goal!
Oh, this is the transitional play. Yes, through a double commit, but found by Greasy. Greasy just taps it down here, and you talk about a lot of space here on Gates of Olympus side. It's Bros, however, and this is the point before I was going to get to when the unfortunate accident occurred. they suffer with a lack of boost. They cannot pick enough to really set the challenge. The second and third follow through or phase of play, and that's where the game has been won and lost so far.
Yeah, the team plays from Gates of Olympus have been second to none. It really feels like BROOOO is 3 solo players flung together. I know we talked in the open about how a lot of these teams have just been put together for this tournament as a pickup roster, trying a few different things out, or just wanting to play with friends to earn a little bit of cash here on a Sunday afternoon. My oh my, this Gates of Olympus team look locked in. Still no goals here for BROOOO as we enter the final minute. Looks like the Gates of Olympus will be taking this series advantage 2-1. Can they get a third to maybe just send this one away? Speed and awkward touch off the backboard. Thankfully for them, didn't lead to a goal from the Gates of Olympus, and they still retain possession.
Will be Toxic who will continue piling that pressure, and if you are, of course, Gates of Olympus, you'll be just sort of smiling every time you see his speed as third man. You just fancy a circle, and you know what, let's stick the ball slightly above the net. Let's see if he make that same mistake again. And the fact that he nearly did, the fact that Crafter's poor wibbling voice there that you nearly heard, just thought, it's happening, it's happening. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And that's the only sauce they could take away. The second goal came from sort of that downward sort of momentum. The fact that we're 2-1 here, Crafters, do you know what? Thankfully, this is a best of 7. Let's see what they can do from here.
Certainly is. 2 more games to the good for Gates of Olympus, and they'll be going on to the next round to face the winner of CZT, or we mentioned them earlier, which would be my pick personally, the Geometry Dash Professionals, which is certainly one of the team names of all time. But you've got, you know, 2 fantastic players in there of notoriety in Joyo and Extra. And forgive me, I have not heard of Drally myself, but I'm sure you're about to tell me about him.
You are going to get a lot of hatred from Reddit on that one, with one of the most talented players coming up on the scene.
Sorry for not being a Reddit warrior. Apologies. But...
John, where's John? We need to get him in here as quickly as possible. Drally as a player, fabulous. He played in the last hour or so, lost 4-1. He was on the top, lost to Gap to done well. Played under the temporary SK gaming. That he had decent performance. Probably known mostly for his ones. Played Drally like Eurus back in his heyday, Jack and a few of others. And you know what? He was a threatening player. The fact that he's not on an RLCS team properly right now, to me, he's one of those talents he should be getting picked up. The fact that you don't know him about it yet, that's a problem. He needs to be known. He should be a household name by now. That's how highly I rate him, Crafters.
Well, that's what these tournaments are all about, finding the rising stars, if you will, in our wonderful, wonderful esport. But Breezy, 3 seconds in, is really starting to extinguish this star from BROOOO.
I mean, most people will sit there and somewhat blame speed, maybe not the perfect kickoff, the rotation spend on it, and you know what, this is getting to the point where it's frustrating surely for the players here, because they know what they want to deliver. They haven't mustered enough in terms of coverage and delivery onto it, and speed just thrown the ball away here. And you know what, if you were a coach with them right now, you'd be disgusted.
Oh, lovely flick there from Breezy with the flip reset. Doesn't lead to a goal, but it may give Hibs the chance here. A big shot from the big boy of Bert. Won't go unanswered though. It will be taken away by Toxic, and now Breezy. He's had 1 goal already. Ooh, couldn't get quite to Crispy, couldn't quite get the angle on it. But a lot of pressure once again in the early stages of this game. It's Gates of Olympus just running the ball right down the throat of the defense.
First time the ball in some time has ended up from a 50 into one of BROOOO's own players here, but the positioning isn't ideal. It's been almost very much a tight triangular, and it has to play into that spot. The lack of coverage is really suffering for BROOOO here, and you just hope for their own sake they can stifle a few balls out here, just get a 50, a demo just to break the rotation. Everything's so stagnated, Crafters. It's for them, surely you'd be looking at it sort of going, what are we doing wrong?
Well, the thing is, the Gates of Olympus just seem like a well-oiled machine. I mentioned it in the previous game, that they just seem a more cohesive unit than BROOOO do. Not to say that there's some excellent talent on this Bro side, as you see Scrub taking this down the left-hand side. He's not really setting up anything. He's looking for a solo play out of that corner, and maybe hoping that Speed or Hibbs can pick up the scraps once he's done picking the bones. A lovely pass there in the corner. Breezy over to Crispy. Couldn't quite get the shot off in time, and Speed able to step in front of it. But everything seems a little bit more calculated from Gates of Olympus. They seem more trusting of each other as well, and that's not really something I've been able to say about BROOOO so far.
I have to agree with you. Everything that you would expect from a team, to have that ability to dictate, to control the tempo of the pitch. Gates of Olympus has done everything right here, and I said this here, where Bros have star players, they have big personalities, they want to be the one running sort of the limelight here, and this is what I meant, no disrespect to Breezy, because he is a very good name and a big player in his own right, but he's able to sit back, he's able to let his teammates, you know what, you have the ball, you have the run of the play, and it's a learned Toxic, it's a learned Crispy that do what they want to do best here, and you know what, while it may only be 1-2 goal games by them, they're playing this game effortlessly so far, this series as a whole.
The one shot so far from Bro will make it 2, in fact, as Speed will get credit for the shot there. Scrub gets one as well. This is better from Bro, giving themselves some chances, and they do tie it up. Minute 45 left on the clock. Plenty of time here to maybe get the second.
Oh, that's a fabulous touch by an old-timer. Lacks the boost in terms of decelerating himself, just chipping it somewhat with his car going across here. Learned it to go into the target floating. That is Speed. Graceful player when he is playing well here, but sadly he's not getting the song time, and unfortunately Scrub here's not getting the ability to deliver that ball upfield here, and that's the first time Gates of Olympus has let one in here where really they shouldn't have.
First time I've really seen Bro play as one unit, with lovely follow-ups off the backboard. Now they get themselves a chance to potentially tie this series up at 2 apiece. Crispy get it over from Breezy in the corner. Speed fantastically right back into the blue half of the field. Great awareness as well from the defense, knowing that they're in a position to win this game and get this series back on track for them. But Breezy's still not done. Toxic up in the air, just misses that one. Crispy's up for it as well, and a little bit of a double commit and a miscommunication there from the Gates of Olympus. No counter-attack will come of it. I've said that they've looked fairly open at the back so far, and yet again, Bro has not taken advantage of that this time.
And there's a caution in the wind here, surely. Speed. Oh, that's where the comms need to be. That's where the pass has to be dropped into the middle for swiping shots here. And there was unfortunately no dash to be found. And we might have another OT here, Crafters, but for Bro's sake, they have one last chance at the play here.
Ooh, that 10-second mark yet again. Looks like Hibbs was going to win it for his team. It's still deep in blue territory. Scrub will have one last chance at this. Scoops it up off the corner. I think Crispy able to touch that back to the middle, and Breezy, I thought he was just going to let that bounce. He does eventually. I mean, fair enough, try to keep the ball up at 0 seconds. It is rule 1 of Rocket League, followed to a T. Here we are in overtime yet again. Bro won the first one back in game number 1. What can they do here to try and tie this series?
Scrub using his own metrics of trying to pass to himself, an infield pass that's lacking in terms of personnel to support the play here. And Toxic, that's a loose ball here, both sides here for the first time feeling vulnerable, not necessarily due to the lack of the quality. We've been talking about that all sort of afternoon long here, but it's the finishing one here, and Breezy's looks not been moving from some time. Surely there'll be a pause. There is, And Joe Watt here, I'm glad here that somebody had spotted that eventually here, because Crafters, because by the looks of it, he wasn't moving. The rotation seemed odd there, so I'm glad. So it'll probably be straight from the kickoff here, I would imagine, based on the admin's call.
Yeah, I would think so. We'll wait for official word on what we're going to have here, but 43 seconds into OT, I imagine the clock will get ran back just a little bit, and we'll go from the kickoff, and we'll make sure everyone is A-okay and ready to go. But yeah, bro seem more encouraged with each other to try these passing plays, and I'm liking that. That's obviously what I've been ragging on about for them for the last little bit throughout their series. It doesn't feel like they're gelling well, but now they're starting to get passes together, and it's starting to put the pressure onto the Gates of Olympus's defense, because they've not really been tested all that much consistently throughout this series, and now here in overtime is a chance to really get their lumps in on that Gates of Olympus defense.
Well, the fact that we're talking about that, taking sort of the back end of the Gates of Olympus defense here, you've been pointing that out so regular, and it's such a key part of the game that has not been exploited, because the fact that that ball could easily be put through here, we could be talking about 3, 4, 5 sector score lines quite comfortably. But again, said no boost. The fact that we're talking about the OT, that's the only time Bro's actually won a game, Crafters. Why are they putting themselves in that situation? And that's the bit you're sort of going, oh, come on. Just settle it down, pass to each other, find that one ball here. That's all that you need here. And they aren't able to do it after 3 games. That's a big worrying sign here.
So while we wait for all the players to come back, we'll just keep you updated on what's happening over on the other stream. If you want to see some other action in this bracket as well, we've got a French stream going on at twitch.tv/Rocket Baguette. You can follow all the action over there as well as on this channel. They had the series of, what did they have? They had the the Wazza series.
How can you forget Wazza?
And Wazza were quickly dispatched off by $9 for nothing. A right drubbing as well. 5-1, 3-1, 3-0, 3-0 from $9 there. $9, I should say. That being the roster of Growly, Sizen, and Raziers. They currently have another game on as well. They've got Saw versus Shaman going on just now. It's pretty close. I say pretty close. Saw's currently winning 3-1 in the series. Currently playing in game number 5 with about 2 minutes and 40 odd seconds left. It is Saw in front. That's Saw being, I mentioned them earlier. Mike Boy, Tamper, and Gom taking on the roster of Matt, Mind, and Elio. It's that old French roster that we were talking about earlier.
What, the old French roster that you were talking about getting swept, knocked out, and we should be talking about them much. That roster.
It's the one that Jam put all the pressure onto. Try to win it for their country. Essentially, can't do that to the lads.
Where's the all Irish roster? No, come on. It's been, 6-7 years of an esports. Come on, give us something to cheer for.
Oh, hang on. So Mike's retires.
Pure Logic is gone. Dry's gone. You did have Red Eyes, Waltzy back in the day. You did have me, but I've ended up in the commentary. Although most people would say that's a bad idea. Yeah, all the good players have gone. Where did they all go? I suppose we have Maxwell over in APAC.
Oh, well, you can try and cling on to him as much as you can. Even though he's in a different region. I'll give you Virtuoso as well. I know you wouldn't, but...
well, Boyan gave me Zen, so that's one.
Boyan gifted you Zen. Sorry, I know the game started again, but... I just want to stick on this point for a second.
Yeah.
Boyan has authority over Zen's nationality now, is that right?
Oh, yes, so we do have a Irish World Champion at last that we've always been deeply sore about. And if Boyans want to disagree with me, I've got the chat to prove it.
If you say so, Danny, we'll have your meds. As we're back underway here in overtime. Crucial one this for Bro to tie the series up, or for the Gates of Olympus to send themselves one game away from the quarterfinals. But of course, getting to the quarterfinals guarantees you a share of that prize money. You go out here, you'll get zilch nada, except for a pat on the back and thanks for coming. Goes up to $500 for getting into that top 8. Here comes Breezy looking to put the dagger in, and it will be Toxic to send them one game away from the quarterfinals.
Yes, and it is frankly a ball that you need to nurse on home by Toxic. Gets it through. They won't care how it goes in, but frankly, I thought after the kickoff here, Bro might actually do something. The way they were approaching, I thought, you know what, okay, they've taken that tape, re-established themselves, didn't matter, and Breezy, you know, rejoins, Toxic scores, back to the same script here. Did you write this one, Crafters, or was it our producer?
I didn't. I didn't. In fact, it was. Everyone knows Gibbs writes all the Rocket League scripts. Like it comes from Papa Gibbs up above.
So there's Papa Gibbs, but I'm the granddad.
Yes, sure.
Right.
Why not?
Okay. Right. This story's getting a bit older, but okay.
Make it make sense, everyone. Make it make sense.
It's Doctor Who. That's what it is.
You've aged backward. Oh no, you're the Benjamin Button of Rocket League. There, Danny. Regardless, Gates of Olympus 1 game away, and they've made, after losing game 1 in the fashion that they did, 10 seconds. A 10-second to go goal from Bro to send it into OT, and then losing that overtime less than a minute in. It's been a great bounce back for them, and giving themselves plenty of opportunities to show that they have been the dominant roster. And you can certainly have to say that they have shown that they're worth in gold, to borrow the scrub killer old team name, I guess.
Oh, Crafters. You were doing so well. I wanted to avoid the gold jump, but fair enough. But I wouldn't say
just gold.
I wouldn't say the value has been golden by them. There will be no gold medal if this keeps on up. But what a shot this was!
Talk about the eye of the needle. Take the eye of the needle and cut it in half, because that is the gap that Toxic was able to squeeze that ball into. Ricochets around Scrub and Hibbs. Puts them back in front just about 10 seconds into this game. I think it was 3 seconds in the last game that it took to get the first on the board for the Gates of Olympus. Quick out of the traps once more, and putting Bro right back on the back foot, which I think they've been on every single time this series.
Pretty much. And that was the first potential team play as well, Crafters, but we could somewhat go back after, I think, 2 games worth there, as this ball's been, for the first time, actually diagonally been put across here, not by will, mind you, but Gates of Olympus, they're such a slippery side here that it doesn't feel like anything could stick against them. And how many times here does Bro need to realise that holding the ball is going to be your friend in this match?
Everyone asks the question these days, where is Bro going? Get Bro a map. They certainly can't seem to find the gold in the early stages of any of these games. Here's Breezy. Maybe able to look at put a second on. Speed's well defended off the backboard, and Crispy will lose that challenge. In fact, had plenty of boost. And that has really been the MO for Gates of Olympus. Put these challenges up, make sure that Bro don't have a quick out to go right back downfield, because they have been playing so open at the back. And yet again, these close-end challenges for Gates of Olympus just slowing Bro down and giving them plenty to think about as they make their way into the blue half.
Well, again, it's technically on that blue half right now, but not for much longer. It is Gates of Olympus who will be taking any liberty they want here. All the pressure being exerted by them here, and Crispy just lobbed that ball, and due to Speed's position, he has to travel backwards, and any advantage that could be gained or motoring along here is that. Might just be the end here, Crafters.
Very well could be. I think this is a 3-man play as well. That's a great touch from Breezy. Really heads up. And over for the pass from Crispy as well. You got to give them all 3 men credit on that one, as they doubled up their lead. 2 minutes 51 seconds left. potentially not just in this game, but in this tournament for Bro. Single elimination all throughout today. No second chances, no extra lives. And Bro have used all three of theirs in this series so far. Here comes Crispy, maybe for a third. Toxic will fly from long range. Heat-seeking missile coming through there, but will not find its target. Speed, no boost in his tank. No wheel on his wagon, but it doesn't matter. Scrub and Hibs connect.
For the first time here, when a lack of speed and boost might actually pay dividends. What a read by Hibs. From the corner across, just bounces and two defenders have sat there and watched. And we might actually, for the first time, have BROOOO coming back from the blink where they have yet to really do anything from here, but yet the big but they have to score the second goal, which has eluded them for so much of the series.
Now the thing is that when BROOOO have been coming back throughout the course of the series, they've not given themselves enough time on the clock, but they've given themselves plenty of space there. 2-2 with 2 minutes left.
Oh! Cut that one right through. No defender. Was sliced and weaved away, and it's, well, trusty old speed to tap it on home here. Talking about having a 500-point game. He's not far off it here, Crafters.
But here comes Crispy looking for a third for Gates of Olympus. Only Toxic's been able to score in this game so far for GOO. Man alive. I was talking about BROOOO not giving themselves enough time for comebacks. Their first goal in comebacks is generally came in the last minute, but now they give themselves that opportunity. With its score tied up, minute 30 on the clock. Here comes Breezy though, looking for the dunk down, takes out speed in the process. Might give Hibs a lot to think about as he decides what to do with very minimal boost in his tank. Toxic out of the corner to Breezy. What a heads-up play by Hibs.
And Breezy leaves it, and it is Scrubby gets a save, touched by speed, and it will be Toxic. We've been talking about a talisman, but it is that young comer who is doing the difference here so far in this series. And once more, it will be Gates of Olympus who will dictate the tempo. Will they eventually break free here? And that's the space here building up after so much we've been talking about, Crafters. We're back to maybe step one again.
And yet again, we see this at the start of games where Gates of Olympus just pile the pressure on. They've got 14 shots to their name, only 3 for BROOOO. And it's their start of game mentality of get the shots out early, get the goal early, and they might have found some Pater here, and all just off the post it will go. Crispy couldn't find it from long range.
Hibs 50 hasn't found any, but I've been talking and plaguing all about this so far here. Speed is last man, should be Hibs rotating in. Good challenge, and that's the second man following through. Forces the pressure on Toxic, blocked it goes. Ball has to go middle, begging for middle, not happening. And once again, surely not here. BROOOO in OT to save, to salvage. You talk about one life here, how much is it worth?
That life still hanging in the balance as Breezy keeps this one alive. It's been up for a good 20 or so odd seconds. Might give a chance to Crispy, but just off range. The defense comes to their aid, and BROOOO live to fight another day. Another kickoff goes the way of Gates of Olympus, but Breezy, can he slam the door shut on BROOOO here in game at number 5?
Scrub, the Hibs. Right-hand side flank here will go to the former world champion as that one goes away from Speed. He's now angry, gets the demo back into middle where the last goal by Hibs was scored. And here is the aforementioned player off throw on the back lines, hasn't happened, forced into the 50, and it has been sent all the way down. Is it a walking cane? No, it's not. It's Mr. Speed.
And the playing all 3 men up the field has finally came to bite Gates of Olympus right where it hurts. No one back for that, and one favourable touch going BROOOO's way puts them back in the series. Game number 6 approaches, and BROOOO have breathed life back into themselves and back into this series.
About time we see Those veterans, that's the only word that they should be described as. With the respect rightly deserved on their shoulders. And the accolades that were won here, Crafters. I was wondering when something was going about here, and you looked at your screens there, everybody. Chap said a 500-point game has to be coming soon. That 700 plus here, that now has to continue. It must do from here.
Yeah, the mistakes seem to be gone from Speed. He's now operating on the level that we know he can operate on. 2 goals, 4 saves, 3 shots for the lad. Really was the MVP for Bro, not just in score-wise, but generally playing as well. Hibs and Scrub Killer are just kind of there just now, but Speed is starting to piece it all together. And it seems like maybe, like I was critical of Bro earlier for seeming off pace with each other. Maybe it's now Speed stepping up is the glue holding them together, and now they can start playing as one solid unit.
Now, hopefully that solid unit is there, because frankly, if it is like most materials that you get the instructions with when you get a new cabinet or a wardrobe, well, usually there might be a missing piece.
And Speed has found that missing piece. An awesome challenge off of Crispy. The cheat from Speed. That is fantastic. And otherworldly from Speed to dive downfield and make that challenge. Because if that goes wrong, that's a point the other way. And for the first time in this series, correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, but that is Bro taking the opening goal. And not only that, taking it in the first 10 seconds at that. Building a Gates of Olympus on Gates of Olympus.
I think you're right. I'm not even going to argue or disagree here, because you know why? Speed scored him. Speed speaking, and when he speaks, you listen. And Hibs would like to have a chance to say his turn, 450. And you know what? Gates of Olympus, we haven't asked the question, what are you capable of? For the first time here, Crafters, it's on them.
Try to fight back from that early loss in this game. Hibs now driving this one down. They're so good at defending these 50-50s as well, or Bro. Every challenge that's made, it seems to be starting to go the way of Bro. Breezy just lets that one get away from him as Hibs takes it back towards midfield. Crispy looking for a pinch off of Toxic. It goes into the corner rather than net bound. The Speed, oh, he loses that one. Crispy's there. Oh, Scrub was just hiding in the corner, camouflaged out of the way. He sends it back to the blue end.
It will be Crispy to track and make a pathway. No route easily to be found here, so he is trying to maneuver something wonderful, but yet to be found here. Breezy to leave it off here, but Hibs cuts it out here. This is looking much more of the Battle of the UK. It is, and could be, a threat, and it will tap on in. Breezy ties it 1-1.
Another big team play from Gates of Olympus. Crispy, boom goes the dynamite and net. And all three working as solidly together as we've seen so far in this series. Gelling it just at the right time. And that time has been the entirety of this matchup. Toxic into the corner. Can he get it past one? He can. Crispy sends it top left.
Just when you thought that the gelatine might have been allowed to set, unfortunately the French was left open, so was that back line. And this great battle might be for the scraps itself here on this plate, Crafters. And you know what? It will be typical fashion of Speed, and let's just go for the history book. Why not, since Grandad is sitting here with you. Speed, unfortunately, lost to the semi-finalists last time. It went to 4-3. I don't think he wants a repeat of that. I think he wants this time here in the opening round not to be eliminated this time.
Certainly in the last Rising Stars Odyssey that we have in this run. 2.5 minutes gone, 2.5 to go. To call yourself the champion of the final tournament of this year. It would be a great honor for whoever was to take it. Speed to call himself champion once again after all this time. Be certainly a feather in his cap. Here comes Scrub at the corner. Well challenged by Toxic and really struggling to clear their lines. They were so eager and so they were able to clear this ball down. Gates of Olympus were with such ease earlier on, but now they're getting challenged where it matters most, in that midfield. Here comes Speed again, shot on target, but taken away before it becomes threatening.
It's the resistance, that's where it will be coming down to. It's how you also measured and evaluate the game, but it has been met so well here. That's a decent idea, just gets stifled on out here. This has been enjoyable, and yet Speed would like to have a laugh last here at the play here. That 50 just runs on out here, and you'll watch here the aggression that the challenges are coming out here from Team Bro. It's what was missing, but it's also what's doing them harm here.
Now trying to get out of their own half. Crispy, lovely challenge there. Can he follow up? No, he just gets in the way of Toxic, in fact. And that was a very awkward passage of play for the Gates of Olympus. Minute left now. No lead is safe. 1 to the good right now for Gates of Olympus. They just need to hold on for the next 50 seconds, but we know how late Bro love to score in this series. They could make it 2-2 with very little time left on the clock to send us into a fourth overtime that we would see in this series. 35 seconds now. Speed lying in wait, waiting for a mistake from Crispy. It doesn't come. It just gets punted upfield. And now Hibs able to take control of this. Speed's in open water, but he can't seem to float to the top. He sinks as that one goes back in the hands of Breezy.
Beckoning for a faster pass. Beckoning due to the wide angle it was here. Speed gets surely a bump. No, it is over one.
Grub.
Oh, there is a keeper. Speed has to turn on it quickly. Must be forcing it through. And it will be Toxic to do some damage here. Come on. Has to go in the middle. Beckoning, begging for another chance here. Pro with Hibs to keep it up.
Last chance, flicking it up, but Crispy to send it long to the floor. It needs to stay up on the apron if they want to keep this one going. They do. Hibs has found some boost somehow, but no one's in the area to keep it up this time. The Gates of Olympus have shut the door on Bro, and they go through to the quarterfinals.
It's a fabulous series in its own regards here, but it is what can only be described, in quotations, the younger side that has put through and removed Speed Scrub so comfortably for a majority of that series. And you know what? Toxic is talked about players to watch. My word, that's a threat coming down the rest of this tournament bracket here.
What a series to kick off our broadcast here as well. Let's bring back our humble host, Jar of Jam. Man, you were watching that from afar. Well, how good was that to watch as the first series of the day?
Let's unmute
your mic. That would be great.
Of course. I'm speechless. Craftman, I am speechless. Speechless, honestly, that the scores were this close, because every single game, you looked at it, Gates of Olympus win, Speed is the MVP. Gates of Olympus win again. Speed again is MVP because saves coming after the saves. Even though that last game, Scrub was the overall MVP for the game. Not on the winning side, but still the MVP. Just because the side of Bro were constantly in the defense. So they lost in the end, but I'm surprised that they were able to hold on for so long. Sometimes the shot differential was tremendous. 15-4 was the shot differential. Gates of Olympus to Bro in the game that Bro won. It's honestly mind-boggling. So brilliant. A round of applause from Speed, Scrub, Killer, and Hibs for their defensive performance, but also it's sort of shown that that's exactly where they spent majority of the game, in their own defense, boostless. It was still a show. It's just that a more offensive team seemingly is now moving on forward. And speaking of teams moving on forward, we almost have every single participant of the quarterfinals. One more series is going to all the way to 7, rather the only series going all the way to 7 as we had to go, and we're getting an update. We're getting an update just as I'm speaking about it. Because of course, OLYMPUS has finally gotten one over Nassim Bali mode, and that could be a surprise. Again, Nas, Ivan, and Acro, the third seeded team right now in our tournament, dropping to Justus, Chippy, and Stealth. honestly talk about surprises. Overall, as you can see, folks, throughout the whole bracket, it has been a bunch of sweeps here and there. Team 2, $9. Aogiri Prime, perhaps to be expected. Very strong rosters grabbing those. Geometry Dash Professionals, one of the rosters that we pointed out to be one of the strongest teams in this tournament. Again, that's Drawley, Extra, and Joya. Yes, Team BDS's Extra. And Moist Esports, Joyo. Also sweeping their opposition is CZT and Bim Bam and Batifara Prime are at the very top, 4 and 2. So Bim Bam, Team 2, $9. Aogiri Prime, OLYMPUS, as well as Geometry Dash Professionals, Gates of Olympus is gonna be our quarterfinal teams, and I am struggling to separate any of these teams because every single one of them, again, OLYMPUS is a surprise team in this one, but every single one of them, honestly, are able to take it. Who's gonna take it? We're going to find out after the break when Geometry Dash Professionals and Gates of Olympus are on your screen.